Hey everyone, it's Andrew. Let's have a look at how we can install the XGrid C++ Hybrid Pathfinder for the XGrid framework. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is go to this URL up here. The link is in the description below. And we're going to select the folder here that corresponds to our XGrid framework's Unreal version. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select 5.5. And I'm just going to click on this plugins.zip file here. I'm going to go to these dots and I'm going to select download. There we go. Looks like our download is completed. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and drag that to my desktop. You can really drag it anywhere. You could do this from your downloads folder as well. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to right click on the plugin zip and we're going to click extract all. And we're going to put our directory where we have XGrid installed right in here. So most of the time it's going to be in your Unreal projects folder, wherever that is, and then wherever XGrid is inside of your Unreal projects. So let's go ahead and hit extract. And as you can see, inside of our XGrid folder here, we have our plugins folder nicely installed. So the next thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and we'll open up our project. And we'll wait for it to load up here. All right, now that we've loaded into our XGrid instance here, let's go ahead and continue setting up the plugin. The first thing that we're going to want to check is we're actually going to go to edit and check on plugins and just ensure that our Hybrid Pathfinder plugin is indeed enabled. This may be enabled right off the bat when you unzip it into the XGrid directory. It might not. Just make sure that this is checked here. If it's not checked and you check it, it will prompt you to restart your engine, which is a good idea. You should go ahead and do that. And that'll ensure that this Hybrid Pathfinder plugin is integrated with our current instance of XGrid. So once that's done and you've reset it, the engine if you need to, we're going to go ahead and continue on to the next step. What we're going to need to do is go to this units folder. We're going to open up our character unit. We're going to go ahead and open up the event graph. And we're going to go up here to the event begin play. We're going to scroll all the way to the right, and we have some comment blocks here that are going to sort of help us set up our pathfinding. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is go to our variables over here, and we're going to click this little plus button. We're going to make a new variable, and we're going to call it the XGrid Pathfinder. So right now this is a Boolean type, but we want it to be a type of XGrid Pathfinder. So we'll go ahead and type that into the search bar, and then we have XGrid Pathfinder right here. So let's go ahead and select Object Reference. And now that we have this set up, we need to construct an object that will fill up this variable for us. So we can follow the instructions from these little comment bubbles. So we'll drag this pin out and we'll say construct object from class. And we want to construct an XGrid Pathfinder. So inside this little search bar, we'll put XGrid Pathfinder and we'll select that. Now for this outer class down here, this is important. We want to connect this self pin over here so that the XGrid Pathfinder is anchored in our character unit class. The next thing that we want to do is just go ahead and grab that XGrid Pathfinder variable that we just made, and we're going to connect it here to both ends of the exec pen, and then we're going to connect this return value here. So all we've done here is we've created an instance of our XGrid Pathfinder and we've given it to this character unit class. So now what we want to do is, now that we have access to this XGrid Pathfinder variable, we are going to set up two different ways of pathfinding, one for the player units and one for the AI to use. So let's go ahead and zoom out, and we're going to scroll all the way down to our little purple pathfinding area down here. And we're going to fill out some of these comment bubbles with some code that we're going to write. So let's go ahead and grab our XGrid Pathfinder. I'm going to drag it onto the grid here and select Get XGrid Pathfinder. And we'll say bind event to on pathfinding complete. And we're going to want to connect these two exec pins that are here. The first one going from the event itself to this node, and then from this node to the sequence node over here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to drag this event stub down here, and we're going to click Add Custom Event. And we can call this event on pathfinding complete. So we're looking good. We're going to need to unbind this event down here. So we'll grab the pin from the XGrid Pathfinder variable, and we'll say unbind event from on pathfinding complete. We want to choose this one right here. Awesome. So next we will connect our path that we found using our XGrid Pathfinder down here to this pin. And we connected this exec pin here to here. Now we need to connect this one over here. And finally, what we're going to do is we're going to take this output delegate, this little thing in the upper right of the event, and we're going to connect it down here to make sure that this event here gets unbound from our pathfinding event. All right, and we have one thing left to do for this section, and that is to actually call the pathfinding command. So let's go ahead and grab our XGrid Pathfinder. We're going to grab another instance of it and drag it onto the event graph. And we're simply going to drag this out, and we're going to say async pathfind with directional variety. And we're going to connect the exec pin that is down here to that command. Now we have some variables here on our event graph that we need to hook up. They correspond top to bottom, so if you just go through these variables here, the grid, rows, columns, all the way down, start, end, directions, and is player unit. This is going to properly configure our function here that's called from our XGrid Pathfinder to do the pathfinding that we're selecting for this instance. So that looks good. This function is now completely set up, and we just have one more left to configure. It's going to be pretty similar to the way that we did this one. Like this one is going to be used by our AI for pathfinding. So we can just scooch our view over to one function down from this one, and we'll see that we have sort of a similar task ahead of us here. So let's go ahead and do the same things that we did over there. We're going to grab our XGrid Pathfinder, and this time we're going to bind it to a slightly different event. We're going to bind event to on omnidirectional pathfind complete. There we go. And we're going to connect these two exec pins here. And just like in the last one, we're going to grab this event delegate, and we're going to search for add custom event. And we can call this one set omnidirectional paths. That looks pretty good. And now let's go ahead and do this one here. So we're going to grab our XGrid Pathfinder here and pull that pin out. And we're going to select unbind event from on omnidirectional pathfind complete. And let's connect this exec pin here. We're going to connect this exec pin over here. And now from top to bottom, we're going to connect these paths from this event down to these pins down here. So down path, right path, left path, and up path. All right, and the last thing that we want to make sure that we do while we're here is to drag this output delegate down here to ensure that this event gets unbound after it's called for our pathfinding. All right, so this part looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and actually call the pathfinding function now. So we're going to get our XGrid Pathfinder over here, and we're going to drag it out. And just like this comment suggests, we're going to type in async omnidirectional pathfind. And we're going to grab this function here, async omnidirectional pathfind, and we'll go ahead and connect this exec pin right here. And just like with the last one, we're going to go ahead and hook these variables up to this function call, top to bottom. So the grid goes here, the rows go here, columns here, start goes there, end goes there, and isPlayerUnit goes here. All right, let's compile and save. All right, so now we have hooked up both of these functions, and these are the two ones that are going to allow us to enable our C++ pathfinding. Now there's only one step left, and it's pretty easy. We can go ahead and exit out and go back to the XGrid main folder. And now we just need to tell XGrid that we have successfully finished setting up our C++ pathfinding. And the way that we do that is we go to our databases here, and we're going to find the DT UCPP pathfinding data table. And right now, if we look at this entry in the data table, we'll see that UCPP pathfinding is disabled. All we're going to do is click this box here to enable it. And we're going to go ahead and save that, and we'll exit out. And that's the last step. So now C++ pathfinding is enabled for this instance of XGrid. Let's go ahead and hit play. And we're going to see, yeah, so it looks like our arrows are being drawn correctly. Each one of these different hover arrow calls is calling our C++ algorithm to pathfind to these various destinations. And what we can do is we can just move our character units forward, and we'll ensure that there isn't anything going wrong with the enemy AI's pathfinding. So we'll go here, it'll be the enemy's turn, and these guys should all be finding moves to start engaging our units down here. Yeah, so it looks like our C++ pathfinding is working and enabled properly. These guys seem to be making the correct moves. So yeah, I think that that about wraps it up. If you have any questions, or if you're having trouble getting any of these steps done in your projects, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I'll make sure that I do my best to check up here and make sure that everyone is able to complete these steps without any problems. That's all for this time. Thank you guys for checking in, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.